Kamal. I'm director of content for T3 Live, and I'm here with Sami Abusaad, and we're going to ask some very big questions today, including can stocks keep going? So Sammy's been bullish for as long as we've been doing these, which means he's been right in the market because the S&P is up about 10% in the year. The Qs are up about 9%. So, Sammy, how does it feel to be, because it feels like so many people are doubting the market. So what's kept you, well, what's had you keeping the faith, I will say?
Uh, the trend is up, and like I said last week and the week before and the week before that, it's not an accelerated trend. It's just a grind up. So it's just a slow grind up. When you have a slow grind up like that, you never want to bet against it ever until the trend accelerates, gets overextended, overbought. Then maybe. Also, if you look at Nvidia still looks pretty good, and Nvidia has been leading the market, leading the whole semiconductor industry. So I think as long as Nvidia is bullish, so will the market. The market will be bullish too. So yeah, I mean, just enjoying the ride, even though it's slow, but it's slow and steady. So that's nice. So that's why, Mike.
Yeah. So is this kind of sort of grinding market, is this ideal for your trading? Like, do you like this like slow and steady trend, or do you like the roller coaster more?
If it depends, for day trading, the roller coaster is probably better. For swing trading, of course, this is best. This is what you want, especially if you try to hold positions longer term, which I try to do. Most of my swing trades are, I'm not looking just for a 3 to 5 day move. I'm looking to hold long term, and if the play doesn't look good, okay, I'll trail it. But if it stays good, then I'll ride the market's move basically.
Okay, so I think like there are a couple of names I want to discuss that I've seen. They've been in the Strategic Swing Trader newsletter. There's also one that actually kind of annoyed me because so a few weeks ago, or maybe it was over a month ago, but Sammy said he was bullish on, this was January 22nd. Sammy was bullish on Disney, and this was about a day after I sold Disney after suffering for a very long time with the stock. So Sammy, can you pull up your charts and
Absolutely.
we can sort of go through some of these names?
Yep. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, and just
Yep. Got it.
okay. All right,
Just
Sammy's bringing up the
too many too
charts.
many windows up. That's why.
Hmm.
Too many
No
charts.
problem.
But you can see
Oh,
the
okay.
charts, right?
Yep. Okay.
Nice. Okay. So Disney is what you wanted to talk about. So okay.
Yeah.
My favorite pattern of all time when it comes to long-term trades is this. Is this Disney? That's not Disney. Is is when the 20 MA starts to curl up on the monthly chart. You see how this is just starting to curve up, and so I noticed that on the Disney. If you look at the weekly chart, also, I mean, that's a beauty. I'm not talking about it here. This is beautiful still, but I'm talking about back when it was right here a couple months ago. Notice the 20 curling up, curving up. Ah, that's a beauty. So that's what got me interested in Disney. Also, Disney was, if you think about it, I don't care about the news, but from a psychology point of view, Disney was getting hammered left and right, being a woke company, fighting with DeSantis, right, the Florida governor. Uh, so, it couldn't have gotten any worse, fighting with Elon Musk. So it's seen, if the worst is over, then it's higher from there. But honestly, if you gave me a really compelling story about Disney, why it's higher, and I looked at the chart and the chart didn't look good, I wouldn't go for it. But in this case, it did have a compelling story that it's it's seen the worst already, but also the chart looked pretty amazing. So yeah, Disney. Initially, the target was on the Disney 120 was the target, so into that prior high. And I just, like last week or this week, maybe even earlier this week, I updated the target to 140, which is, so when you're picking targets, you want to look for areas where the stock fell hard from, because when it goes back up to that area, people look to exit, because they've been sitting in it, hurting, and when it comes back down to an area where there's negative memory associated with the stock, they exit. But since the market fell hard recently, I mean, a little bit, and Disney just stayed incredibly bullish. Let me show you the daily chart. I mean, look at the Disney. Stayed incredibly bullish after the earnings gap. It didn't budge at all. I figured, it's been basing at around 115 or so for a while, which means it's probably going to take this area out. Any kind of selling that was going to be done around the 120 area is probably already, Disney's already absorbing whatever selling, whatever supply there is. And then the next target area is going to be in this area right here. So 140, 150. So I just recently updated the target on it. It's actually one of my biggest positions because I have 1,000 shares. No, I have 1,100 shares. So, so money wise, it's 127,000. Now, it's, Bitcoin is by far the biggest, and it's over $600,000 in Bitcoin. I know right now it's like crashing a bit, but Disney is like number 3 or 4. So I like it a lot. I do.
Okay, so since you brought up Bitcoin, why don't we get into crypto? Because we saw, the gigantic up move in Bitcoin, and it's pulled back a little bit. Now, is that also, is this a classic case of it's pulling back to the 20 and it's ready to go again?
Yeah. So let me talk about. So I'm just pulling up Bito. I don't know how to pull up Bitcoin. Is there a ticker for it? I don't know on this
It might
platform.
be BTC USD.
Oh, but I don't know. Yeah, this is not. So let's see. What about this one? No, ignore. So Bito will work. It's the tracking ETF for Bitcoin. It's actually the futures ETF for Bitcoin. But if I were to show you some of the spot ETFs like ARKB, it's too new, so it's harder to analyze. So Bito has been around for a while, for a couple of years. So we'll just use Bito because it really does mimic Bitcoin pretty closely. And this is the ETF that I choose personally to be in because it pays about 15% dividend. There's an expense ratio of like 1%. The other ETFs, the spot ETFs, are free for the first 6 months, 3 to 6 months. Some of them 3 months, some of them 6 months. But so this isn't free, but I still would rather be in Bito because it pays 15% interest dividend. Okay, so remember when I said when there's a grind up, stick with it, stick with it. This is what I'm talking about. When there's a grind up, this is the grind up. When it starts to go vertical, accelerate, it becomes dangerous. You see how it went way up, accelerated, no longer hugging the 20 period moving average. And so it came in really hard. You'd expect it to. You'd expect it to. Corrections usually are proportional to the rallies that preceded them. So yes, it came into the 20 MA on the daily, but honestly, the first buy setup after a climactic move, this is what I call a climactic move, usually fails. So this is the first buy setup and it's failing. We might retest this bar's low. We might not. We might just hold. I'm hoping we hold because I don't want to go through. I don't want to start sweating bullets. But, so we might break the lows here and come all the way back down to here. Maybe. But I think Bitcoin eventually will be higher. But yeah, that's what's going on here. This is a classic climactic sell setup play. This is an example of, a better play bet on the intraday that I just played a few minutes ago. You see how when it's grinding up over here, no problem. Hold it. If you're in it, hold it. When it starts to go vertical, look to sell, or if you want to fade it, if you want to go against it, look to short. So I did the IDN short, but I had it wasn't a big play or anything like this, but I just, I'm showing you the difference between grinding up and accelerating. And Bitcoin accelerated recently, which is why right now it's turning a little bit bearish, so to speak. But it's just short term.
Okay, Sami, do you want to go over, because I know Coinbase was a favorite of yours earlier in the year. I think Coinbase would be worth throwing in here.
Yeah, so Coinbase, I got it at over 120.80, I think, over this bar's high. It's 120.89. So I got it at over 121. I always give my plays just a little bit of room because I don't want to get tagged. So I got it over 121, and then in it. Now this is a little bit, that's dangerous when it goes vertical like this. But I know, or I don't know, but I can tell based on the larger time frames that Coinbase is probably higher to 350, to this area basically where it fell hard from. So this is from the high of this is 323, and the high of this bar is 368. So I'm pretty sure it's higher to somewhere here. Okay. Also, I don't think Bitcoin topped out for good. Okay, I'm pretty sure it hasn't for good. Maybe short term, yes. So I was trying to hold on to Coinbase as much as I could because I think it hasn't topped. But again, when it starts to accelerate, it gets dangerous. So it topped out, came in, didn't sell, it went back up, and then it gapped down, and so I sold it at the open that day. So overall, an amazing play, but I sold it once it took out the stopping tail bars low, because then it created like an M pattern. So it was too dangerous. And I just bought back 100 shares, so just a small position. But we'll see. So that's Coinbase. Went also climactic with Bitcoin.
Okay, all right. So a big thing people are focusing on now is the small caps. Now, so there's a lot of arguing because we had the hot CPI, the hot PPI. Then the other day, Powell, he's dovish, so nobody knows what the hell is going on. So Sami likes to stick to the charts. When I talk about these narratives, I can see him. He starts rolling his eyes. He's like, Mike is babbling his nonsense again. So can you pull up IWM? Because this seems like one of the biggest sources of confusion for traders right now. What is going on with IWM?
So IWM, just like the Qs is not, the SPY is the absolute nicest. Look at the SPY. This is the picture perfect trend that you should never ever bet against or go or get out of if you're in it. Look at this. That's what you want as a trader. Slow and steady, but just keeps going. Who knows for how long? If it starts to accelerate, then different story. The IWM is sort of like the S&P 500, but a lot more volatile. The bars are bigger, but as you can see, 45-degree rising 20. This is a rising 20 period moving average. So about 45-degree, a lot more volatile, a lot more sloppy, but looks good. If you look at the monthly chart, I mean, is this bullish or bearish? You tell me. Is this bearish or bullish? Bullish, of course. The 20 is curving up, so it should be higher to the all-time high. How long will it take? I don't know. I thought by now it would already be there, honestly. This is a weekly chart now. That's a pretty nice base with a breakdown failure, which is a shakeout. So we should eventually go back up to probably the prior highs, like 230, 240 on the IWM. Don't worry about the news. Just stick to the truth. The truth is the chart. That's what the truth is. It's price action. So to me, the IWM is higher, but it's slow. ARC, the same thing. Probably higher. Look at the monthly on it. Beautiful monthly chart. But it's taken longer than I had expected, personally. But yeah, I think the IWM is higher, Mike.
Okay, I think so. Related to this is biotech, because people are also have been calling for a biotech rally. Biotech's down about 5% so far this month. So could you pull up XBI and illuminate us there?
Yeah. So this is XBI. XBI looks good too. I have to admit, it doesn't look amazing. This is the monthly chart of XBI. So notice how we retested the prior lows. So it tried to break down and got bought. So that created the double bottom. And now it's above its 20 period moving average on the monthly chart. So as long as it consolidates here and doesn't come all the way back down, doesn't come back below the 20, it should be higher. It should be higher to 125 or so eventually. So this is the monthly chart. Here's the weekly. The weekly's, had a pretty big move up the last few weeks, rallied into the 200 period moving average. That's the 200, and is pulling back. Looks good overall, but I mean, it's not like incredible. I wouldn't call it amazing, but looks okay. Looks good to go back up. Okay.
Okay. So somebody's asking about the semis in the comments. So could we start with SMH and
Yeah.
then move on to some of the individual names? Because obviously that's a huge topic with AI and all of that.
Yeah. So if you look at the SMH, this is SMH. Here it is. It's similar to the Qs and the SPY, grinding up. The only time it stopped grinding and started to accelerate was over here, but it didn't get out of control. To get out of control, let me see if you can see this. I don't think you can. No, you can't. I didn't think you could. I'm using an annotation tool, but it doesn't show on the stream. So if this would have gotten out of control, meaning rallied several more days in a row, then I think we would have had a blow off top. But we had a top, like a pretty bearish top, but it's fixing itself here. It's healing and looking higher. So semis look higher. The leader in semis is Nvidia. Look, the same thing. Went a little bit climactic, came in, one red bar. I mean, you can say, well, this is another red bar. This is a narrow body bar. It's not really a red bar. It's not a green bar. It's a small bar. So, and it's already attacking, it's already breaking out on the base. So as long as Nvidia is higher, I think the semis will also be higher. And as long as the semis are higher, the Qs will also be higher eventually. As long as the Qs is higher, it means the entire market is higher, especially the big names. So, I would remain bullish personally. I'm bearish by nature. I went full time April 7th or April 8th, 2007. I mean, right when the market was crashing. So from an early stage, I was taught to play short. I was bearish. So I'm a bear by heart. Like by nature, I'm bearish. But this is not the time nor the place to be bearish. I mean, that's just what I think.
Okay, we did get a request in the chat for TSM Taiwan Semi. So if you could go over that one, that would be great.
100%. So let's go over it. So TSM, I called it as an earnings play this day, and I got it, and it gapped. And I said to myself, this looks good long term. And then when it broke down here, I sold it. So you think you're the only one that makes mistakes? I make mistakes too all the time. So the TSM should be higher still, but I mean, this one went a little bit out of control. Up, vertical almost. So this is a lot more than we saw in Nvidia. Not that the TSM rally was, more breathtaking than the rally in Nvidia, but I mean, the number of bars and how far away from the 20 it got went a little. That was like the blow off top, almost. So I think this will need a little bit more basing before it heads back to the highs, if at all. But since I think Nvidia is going to continue to be bullish for now, I think TSM will continue to be bullish. Between TSM and Nvidia, which one would I be in? If I wanted to be in something, I'd be in Nvidia, not TSM, because it's better. Nvidia is better. What about ARM? I'm just looking at some of this. Oh, that's not ARM. Just looking at some of the semis. They tried to break, like ARM tried to break down and went already back up, so it rejected lower prices. So I think the semis look okay higher.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of the other, I guess, the giant troublemakers, we'll call them. So so Apple and Tesla, because Apple lawsuits galore. Tesla, just who the hell knows day to day what's going on there. I think we should take a look at those two.
Yeah, absolutely. So here is Tesla. So Tesla, if we look at the monthly chart, I have to admit it doesn't look good. This is like a 1, 2, 3 short, but it's into support. It's into an area where the stock went from 150 to 300. I think it was 299 something. It's 299.29, the high. So it doubled. So it's an area of support. So I'm 50-50 on Tesla. This might be the bottom on it right now, in the process of bottoming. It might not. I'm not too sure about Tesla. It's too difficult. Okay. Notice, by the way, what set a top on Tesla? That climactic move. Now you might say this was a climactic move also, and it was, and it dropped a while, but it went back up, based for a few months. It healed, right? Anybody that wants out is already out. That's what it means that's what I mean by it healed. And so, so from now, back down to support, but it's not looking great. Apple is kind of a pain in the for me, because I went long on Apple on this monthly buy setup just last week, and it was looking good. And then yesterday we had a gap down, and then it took out the wide range green bars low. So I trailed it to 175. The low of this bar should be like 175 and some change, 175.09. So I put my stop under 175 and I'm out. But basically, Apple, the daily chart is not lining up exactly right with the monthly. The monthly is at a very good area to go long. This is a pullback to the rising 20 and to support. So this is when we should be looking to play long. Now, we had a gap down on the daily, and then the long really triggered on this day and stop under, because you have room to rally without any resistance. It took a while, finally got going, and then yesterday I had to get out of it because this was a really bearish gap, and so I got out of it, and now I'm out of Apple. So Apple, good location on the monthly, but the daily chart says it's not ready yet. It needs to maybe base a little bit, and then the 20 will catch up to price, will start to curve up, and then maybe then will be higher. But sometimes I have to admit, sometimes they don't line up exactly right. Sometimes, you get news and it gaps up, and then, and the play is gone. But as of right now, I don't love the Apple short term. I do like the Apple a lot on the long term. Okay,
Okay,
that's my take on Apple and Tesla.
okay. So when you talk, so I noticed that you start a lot of these by going to the monthly chart. So for you with swing trading, does it always start with the monthly chart?
Not necessarily. If I'm just looking for a small move for a few days, I will play it off the daily. So I find my entries actually almost always off the daily time frame. That's a smaller time frame, but I always want to get the bigger picture. I don't want to lose sight of the forest and be looking at the trees. I want to know, I want to see the big picture, and then zoom down, drill down to the weekly and the daily. No problem. But I want to know what I'm buying exactly. Am I buying the stock that's in the process of topping out, in the process of breaking down on the monthly, or am I buying a stock that's maybe in the process of bottoming? So it makes sense to always have a top-down approach. Start with the bigger time frames and then go down, not vice versa. So that's what I do, Mike.
Okay, so is there always a higher time frame? Is it ever like just the daily?
So the monthly, the weekly, the daily are the three primary time frame for swing and long-term trading. There isn't anything higher than the monthly. You could go to the quarterly, but by that time, and you could. I don't know. Am I showing the charts now? Can I show the
We'll
chart?
put them back up. They're back
Okay,
up.
so I mean, we did talk about like this. I'll show you the quarterly buy setup and the Qs and the SPY when it formed. We weren't sure. I wasn't sure about the market back then, whether this was the bottom or not. We looked at the monthly, the quarterly buy setup in the Qs and the SPY, and the IWM has one too, but is very sloppy, and it's taken its time to get going. But so that kind of was when I saw the buy setup in the Qs and the SPY on the quarterly time frame. I was like, damn, that's not bad at all. So it gives you kind of a clue. But can you trade off of the quarterly and the yearly time frames? Probably not. So my largest time frame, the largest time frame that I almost ever go to is the monthly. But so I use the monthly, the weekly, and the daily for swing and long-term trading.
Okay, can we go over like some of the names you like right now from a swing perspective specifically?
I don't have a list right now, but I'll just look at my account and I'll tell you. I like you were bullish on cannabis. I like cannabis, by the way, but it's not a perfect setup. But you see how it's curving up on the monthly. I'm in ACB. It's in the newsletter for today. It had a daily base breakout or an hourly base breakout. Got probably topped out for today, probably. But so cannabis looks good. So the MSOS or MSOX is the leveraged MSOS. I think that looks good. But in terms of, the reason why I mentioned ACB is because it's the very first symbol that I have in my account. So I'm going, it's sorted alphabetically. So I like that. I like also, I'm in Boeing. I don't know that Boeing is bottomed. I got it on this day. I called it in the room live. I'm in Boeing because if you look at the weekly chart, down a lot into major support. In fact, I like the fact that it broke down into major support because everybody that wants out probably got out on that breakdown. So I don't know if this is bottomed or not, but I thought it was worth a shot. I called it as a day trade a few days ago. I can even show you the play on it on the 5-minute on Boeing, but I'd have to go back a little bit to here. It was right here. See it? That was the entry on Boeing, the 5-minute buy setup. So I like Boeing. So again, I'm just going alphabetical. I'm in the BBY, so alphabetical. If you look at the monthly chart, I got it just yesterday, the BBY. So if you look at the monthly, it's again the same picture that, the monthly chart is bottoming. BBY is best buy. So I like it higher long term. If you look at GPS, that's something we've been in the newsletter for a while. That's retail. Retail are doing really, really well. AEO also something we're in. But those I'm not mentioning because they're too late for now. But BBY hopefully will be the next thing to go. I'm in the CLSK. I was in it. I called it long on this day. Sold half this day, I believe, and then out half, the back half right here. They made really good money, and I'm back in it. So I like the CLSK higher long term also with Bitcoin. I'm in the CTV. It's a little bit late. I called it on the buy setup, and now today I added to it a little bit on the 1, 2, 3. The reason why I like it is because look at the monthly turning up. The weekly is also breaking out. Now, something like the CTV, I don't even know anything about it. It's not a big name. I wouldn't go crazy with the size. I would just play it with small, normal size. I wouldn't play it with big size because a lot of the longer term plays, I do go in with big size, or I look to aggressively add to them. So this is not one of those, but it looks pretty good. And then I'm in the prison stocks, the Geo, the CXW. Those look really, really good. They triggered a couple days ago, so they're not totally late, but the prison stocks are pretty good. Disney, obviously, we talked about. Here's something that I like a little bit. FGen, I don't love it, but notice the weekly chart looks beautiful. Now, the entry should have been last week, not this week, but it's not too bad either. It just triggered, actually, over 250. So, again, I'm just going alphabetical. I'm in Frog, but I made a mistake on the Frog. I shouldn't have gotten out of it to begin with. I played the Frog and got out of it just recently when I was in it, gapped up on earnings, and then when it broke down here, got out of it. I got back in today or yesterday. Yesterday, let me see, yesterday half, and then today it triggered another half. So I'm just getting back in it because I like the monthly, and I think it looks good still. I got the Halliburton. It's not too late. I got it when it went climactic intraday that day. If you look at the monthly chart on Halliburton, that looks pretty good. Monthly buy setup. I'm in the FRGT, but that's too late. FRGT. But that's, hold on. FRGP. So oil stocks are a little bit late. And then I like the Hood is a little bit late, but looks amazing on the monthly chart on Hood. Looks amazing. HPE looks good. It broke out on the monthly, has a daily buy setup. That's not bad at all. I think Moderna is okay. Is a daily buy setup. I like NCMI, but that gapped up. Let's see. PAC is not too late. In fact, in the pack already, but look at the weekly. It's going to set up as a weekly 1, 2, 3 next week. So I like the pack a lot. I like Square on the monthly chart. I like OKTA on the monthly chart, but it's not quite ready. Let's see. Shop might be ready to go back up. It's a weekly buy setup on Shop. PUBM, is an open position. A little bit late, but also not too late because the monthly is just starting to move up. Let's see. TME is a little too late. XFOR is late. I'm in Zillow. Retested the 20 on the monthly. Played it as a climactic on this day. Should have added to it yesterday, but I already have 1,500 shares, which is a lot. So I didn't add to it. I think Zillow's interesting, but on the daily chart, it doesn't look good right now, right here. So, there's a lot of names. I'm in the trip. There's a lot of names. Some of them are a little bit late. But, again, in terms of things that I like long term, I like the Square. I like Zillow, but it's not good just yet. I like the OKTA. I like the pack. Next week 1, 2, 3. I'm already in it, but not too late on the 1, 2, 3. So, those are the ones that I would say I like the most. Also, I like W. Wayfair is setting up. Looks really beautiful. That looks good to me. Let's see. I think that's a pretty good list for now, Mike.
I find it funny that you like Boeing because Boeing they can't screw anything into the plane right. They're falling apart in the air, and it actually reminds me of Disney because Disney was getting negative news nonstop, and you liked it. So guys, pay attention to Boeing. At least put it on your radar. So we have to let Sami go to get back to trading. But guys, Sami is holding live training next week where you can learn his entire swing trading method. And it's just $99. It's an hour each day from Monday through Thursday. The link is in the description if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn. The link is in the description if you're watching on Twitter. The link is in the tweet, t3live.com/essay. And you can learn Sami's whole swing trading system. We hope to see you there. Sami, amazing as always. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.
All right. Bye, guys.